I want the House to pass a bill by Thanksgiving. I want all of the people standing by my side when we get ready to sign by Christmas. Hopefully before Christmas, you'll all be in the room.
Oh, really? Congress might have to save that Expedia page and get out of it and hold off on booking that holiday trip to Acapulco or wherever they're going. President Trump urging lawmakers to pass what he calls the biggest tax cut in U.S. history before 2018. You just heard him put 2 points on the calendar, Thanksgiving and Christmas. But while the exact legislative text of the GOP's tax reform plan still remains unknown, by this time tomorrow, House Republicans will have released the exact details, at least of the framework of the plan, as it concerns to continue to mount over the plan's specific details, including what's happening to taxpayers' 401ks. That's just the tip of it. Let's bring in former aide to Senator Chuck Schumer and syndicated radio host Chris Hahn and former chief of staff to Senator Mike Lee, Boyd Matheson. Boyd, there's going to be the big unveil tomorrow. Will any of it, what you're hearing, surprise us?
No, I think you're going to see a pretty broad brush as they get started on the House side. There are going to be some real heartburn moments when it comes to things like the 401k, when it comes to mortgage deductions. There's a lot of those that I think, if they're not careful, it's really going to hit middle-class, hardworking families in particular. You've got some interesting things that I think will be incorporated that Senator Mike Lee and Marco Rubio from Florida have been working with Ivanka Trump and the White House on in terms of the child tax credit. That may be the only thing standing between hardworking American families and some pretty brutal things inside of the bill, but we'll see when they unveil it tomorrow.
That distresses me because you are a Republican and have worked for a Republican senator. You've been on the inside. Chris Hahn, I was expecting a fight here. I'm guessing you may agree.
I mean, basically, he just said everything I was going to say. I mean, there are a lot of things in that bill that are going to have to come out of that bill before it passes. Thanksgiving is 3 weeks and 2 days from today. I don't know why the president thinks that's going to happen in 3 weeks. He wants to completely change tax policy in America in 3 weeks. He might be able to get it through the House in 3 weeks, but the Senate tends to take some time, as I'm sure my colleague here will tell you. They like to take things slow there, especially when it comes to making long-term policy decisions. And there are a lot of people who still believe on the Republican side that the deficit needs to be considered. And from all I've seen about this tax bill, it's going to greatly increase the deficit, which, you know, last year I recall them yelling at me about everything Obama did to increase the deficit. But now I guess they think it's okay.
You just talked about what people believe. Here's what I and many of our viewers watching right now cannot believe, Boyd, is that they're even talking about changing or manipulating our 401ks. What surprises me is they're doing that to find revenue to pay for this. Of course, we do need to find a way to pay for at least some of it. But what about what the president talked about on the campaign trail, something that actually tends to benefit the private equity guys, very wealthy guys? Here's what he said on the campaign trail.
As part of this reform, we will eliminate the carried interest deduction, well-known deduction, and other special interest loopholes that have been so good for Wall Street investors and for people like me.
Okay, for people who don't know, carried interest allows very wealthy people in private equity to take their income as capital gains at taxed at only 15%. Boyd, why has that not even been mentioned anywhere in the past 3 months of talking about tax reform?
Because the one thing that nobody is looking at right now, the real battle that's going on in Washington, is all of the lawyers and lobbyists who have descended on Capitol Hill, who are fighting for, they're fighting for all of those loopholes for their clients who can pay for it. And no one's looking out for the little guy who can go in and really defend, hey, my 401k matters. My mortgage deduction, that's a big deal for me and for my family. And Chris gets this from the House side and from Chuck Schumer's office. I mean, there's a lot in there that is being driven by the lobbyist. And the president, if the president doesn't step up on this, and I think Mitch McConnell has to step on that, that's where the battle's going to be. If they can't lead a way through this thing, then they've got some really serious issues. They've messed up on health care and immigration and a host of other things. But this one's for the American people's pocketbook. And if they can't get this one right, there's not a whole lot they will get right.
Chris?
You know, it's like one of the things I agreed with President Trump on when he was campaigning was getting rid of the carried interest deduction. And now he's out there trying to go after Americans' 401ks.
Well,
I mean, let me tell you something.
That was not his idea. Let's just be fair here. That was something that Kevin Brady brought out.
Well, you know what? If that passes and the president signs it, he's signing his own death warrant politically, because there are too many people in this country that are relying upon that. And with pensions really not existing as much as they used to in this world, and Social Security being on rocky ground, Americans want to prepare for themselves. And the 401k plan is the way most Americans now prepare for retirement, and it would be a shame if that went away.
Okay. Great to have both of you. And the reason we bring up carried interest is because it is also called welfare for the very rich, and nobody's even talking about it. It's off the table. So that I don't get. Boyd, Chris, great to see both of you. Thank you so much.
Thanks.